Soul Centre is recognized as Asia's premier centre for personal development, and Soul Kids is an award-winning life skills program for children. The company is expanding internationally. Apart from operations in Singapore, it intends to leverage on technology so Soul Kids and Soul Centre can have a global reach and benefit people everywhere.
So my name is Vikas Malkani, and I'm the founder of Soul Centre in Singapore. I was born in New Delhi. I grew up in New Delhi. I spent most of my earlier life in New Delhi. My father is a first-generation entrepreneur. He came to India in 1947 from a region which was given away to Pakistan. So a region called Sindh. So him and his family, they left whatever they had and they came over to India and they started life with nothing. And he had set up a clothing business, a ready-made garments business, and he had created a brand out of it. So we were one of the first denim wear brands in India at that time. So as a young boy, I truly looked up to him. I was very inspired by his abilities, by his qualities of hard work and persistence and having a vision and taking your life in your own hands and making it happen. That was my first lesson of how to be successful. And he was truly my first teacher of life. I had many interests, but my greatest interest was in understanding about the human mind, about human nature, about human potential. Because when I was a teenager, I began to question life. I said, what makes people different? Because I looked around and I saw people who had a lot of privilege, but they didn't make anything of their life. I also asked myself questions about happiness. Because I could see a lot of people around me in society who were wealthy, comfortable, successful by society's terms. But I didn't see them happy. So these questions were my motivating factor of my education. So while I went to school and I did the subjects and I graduated one class after another, and I was a good student, we had by then a fairly large business. It had grown. It was a multi-million-dollar business. It was based in 4 different states of India. So I started working as a teenager, straight out of school, and I worked for a year. I went through different operations of the company, shop floor onwards up, so to understand everything. After 1 year of practical training, then I went to the US. And I was supposed to go to New York University. I had admission there. But somehow I felt that New York is not the kind of place I want to spend 3-4 years of my life. So I went to the Midwest and I was traveling through America, and I went to a place called St. Paul, Minnesota. And my brother was studying in a college there called McAllister College, which is a small international college. And I went to visit him and I fell in love. I fell in love with the place. It was a liberal arts college. And that interested me also because I was going to study business and economics in New York University. And here I had the opportunity to study so many more things. Frankly speaking, it was one of the most interesting and educative experiences of my life. The 3 years that I spent there. But I did about 3 years, and then my father's business in India was growing rapidly. It was also a time of change in the world. So he needed people he could depend on and who could support him. So he told me, he said, why don't you come back and start working with me? Because we need you. So I went back and I started working. And I kept working. So I grew from there, and I took over slowly all of the international operations of our company. I was living in a way a double life. I was handling the business and handling all of those external operations of life. But at the same time, I was on this journey of personal development and personal growth, questioning myself, what is the real purpose of my life? Why am I here? Why am I born? I mean, just think about it for a minute. You never arrive anywhere without a reason. I was questioning that, and I asked people, what is the purpose of our life? And no one could answer me. So when I'm 29, I'm the CEO in a way of our company. I'm the managing director of the company. And I decided that the purpose of my life is to help people to find their inner potential and to bring it out. So I took the wisdom that had changed me and I said I'm going to teach this wisdom to people in a very simple, practical manner. So I quit the family business and I walked away with nothing essentially. And I said that I'm going to start a whole new chapter of my life. So when I started my new life at the age of 29, I started Soul Center. But no one knew me, no one had heard of me. So I decided that I'm going to break through into one of the top magazines in India which talked about personal development. And I went and met their editor. And initially he didn't believe me. But then I wrote for him and he said, okay, write a piece and submit it. But no guarantees, I'll publish it only if it's good enough for us, which I agreed to. So I sat down and I gave it my 100%. I put my heart and my mind and my soul and my passion, everything into that piece. And I submitted it and he loved it. Right from that first piece onwards, people started writing in, asking for more. So eventually I started writing for this magazine on a regular basis. And then I was inspired to write a book. So I wrote a book which would help everyone to feel better about themselves and to understand how to bring life-solving wisdom into the problems of daily life. So I self-published this book and I marketed it, I sold it. And the people who bought this book, they loved it. And they wrote back and they wanted more copies and they wrote back and said, how can we learn from you? Can you teach us how to live like you've written in this book? These kind of things started happening. So it gave me that proof and that understanding that I was doing the right thing. So I started to write more and more and talk more and more. So I started a company called Soul Center. I use the word Soul Center because the soul represents the highest potential inside us. Now, little did I know that my publisher was, of course, doing his job well. So he was sending the books around the world to different countries. So a lady in Singapore picked up one of my books and read it. Then she wrote a letter to me and she said that, I've loved your book. It's such a small, short little book. But I've never read this subject or heard this subject taught the way you teach it. So I started communicating with her and through letters, through phone calls, through emails. A few months into this journey, I'm almost like a life guide. And then she says, listen, I have to confess something. I'm not just a student of life, I'm actually a teacher myself. And I have my own students in Singapore, but I want to learn from you because obviously the kind of wisdom that is in you, it's not in other people because no one has written a book like it. So why don't you come to Singapore and meet my students and teach my students? And I said, yes. Remember, always say yes to life. I said, yes, I'll come. So she invited me and she hosted me. And I simply taught her students a little of what I know and what I use in my life. And that's where my journey or my relationship with Singapore started. So I moved Soul Center from India to Singapore. And I've been here now for almost close to 10 years. And Soul Center has grown. Over the years, we developed two brands, Soul Center, which is a brand for adults, companies, corporations, and Soul Kids, which is a brand for children, families. In both of these, I teach people in a simple, effective manner how to live their best life, how to be happy, how to be joyful. And we have grown over the last 7 to 8 years rapidly. We have centers opening in Sydney, in Kuala Lumpur, in Penang, in London, and of course in Singapore we have 2 centers at the moment. We are recognized as Asia's premier center of personal development because of the kind of programs that I created. I took all of that wisdom that had changed me and I simplified it. I made it practical. I cut away all the non-essential, and I created unique trademarked programs that anybody anywhere can utilize and make their life better, guaranteed. We have thousands of students from all over the world who have come to us here in Singapore. They travel and they come here to learn, and they go back and they live better lives. And we have testimonials by the thousands to prove it. So because of all of this, we are recognized as Asia's premier center for personal development. And Soul Kids, the brand for children, in that we teach children essential life skills for life. So we say that every child has the potential to be happy and successful. They have it in them already. We show them how to bring it out. And we start training children from 6.5 onwards. Can you believe it? Because if you give them the right tools, the right understanding at that stage, they will grow up into being happy, capable, confident, and successful individuals. So if someone decides to be an entrepreneur or to start something for themselves, the advice I would share with them is that first and foremost, believe in yourself. You will have to believe in yourself more than anyone else can believe in you. Focus on what you can contribute to society and the world. It's not just about earning a paycheck. It's about making life a better life for yourself and for others. There will be challenges no matter what path you take. But you have to be strong enough to take those challenges on and find the solutions to them, because it is in the solutions that your reward lies. And learn how to work with others. No person is an island. No man, no woman in this world ever became successful just by themselves. So you have to develop the qualities of teamwork. You have to care about other people. You have to think about them. You have to keep your ego in check. Always remember that you are the author of your own life story. Your life story is not written yet. You're writing it right now. What you think and what you do every day is writing a page in the book of your own life story. You are the author whether you realize it or not. Now write the story that you love. Destiny is not written, it is created.